Good afternoon and welcome to the Fresh Thinking Lounge. We're here at the Unidine Culinary and Innovation Center where we bring a fresh approach, fresh perspective, and fresh point of view to food and dining management services. I'm really excited for this month's installment. It's June and Pride Month, and we're here to celebrate. Our guest is Gerard Sgrizzi, Regional Director of Operations, running the Corporate Culinary Group for Unidine. But more importantly, he is the executive leading our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council for our over 7,000 team members at Unidine. Gerard brings great experience to the table, having cut his teeth in hotels around the world. I used to love his stories from the Plaza Hotel and some of the crazy residents and guests that would frequent the bars and buffets. He spent time at the American Museum of Natural History and has an incredible catering and events background. And he brought all of that to the Compass Group, where we met almost 20 years ago at Restaurant Associates. The first person I called when I came to Unidine was Gerard, and so thrilled to have him joining us today in the Fresh Thinking Lounge to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Welcome, Gerard.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm happy and humbled to be here today.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. Unidine's culture has always been driven by people and purpose. We foster a workplace that celebrates diversity, that fuels the passion of our team members, and we've really grown over the last 2 years from all of the ingenuity that bubbles up and the creativity in the field. So as we bring the perspectives of our team members forward for food and exceptional service, as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for the organization, what does being this ambassador mean to you?
Well, thank you. And again, I'm happy and humbled to be here. And that's a great lead-off question. And for me, I think being the ambassador for the council is a great responsibility and one that I take seriously. I am here to hopefully give a voice to those that maybe haven't felt in their lives that they fit in. And they certainly do with Unidine and Compass. And I think as the ambassador, if I can help those that maybe don't feel as though they have a seat at the table or have a voice or feel as though they have to edit themselves. And I'm stealing that phrase from a training that I did with Compass many months ago. And I know just growing up in this industry, as somebody is a part of a diverse community, having to edit myself and not always feeling like I fit in, but being a part of Unidine and Compass in the broader perspective, that culture and how we treat people really is our core value. We don't view ourselves as a food service company, but we view ourselves as a hospitality, not even company, but a hospitality organization. So if I can give a voice to those that maybe feel voiceless and give that opportunity, that's what being the ambassador means to me. It's moving the needle for what is already a great culture, but progressing it even further.
And I think that's a great perspective, Gerard, that this council is executive sponsored,
Correct,
but not executive team led.
right.
That you were tapped and identified, and you really took it upon yourself to reach out across all divisions within Unidine to make sure that there was representation, inclusion, and you sought people out to join the council and make sure that they heard about this important initiative.
Correct, and I would also give a lot of credit to Kathleen Kasselblum, who was one of the co-chairs as well, and she's still within the Compass umbrella. And we're an ever-changing and ever-evolving council, where someone on the committee may have other obligations, have a 2-month commitment that they need to walk away and then come back onto the council. So it's always a great opportunity, and we're always adding new team members, other managers from all sectors within Unidine. And what I really like is that we've also started really reaching out to some of the hourly team members, and for them to be a part of the committee. And everything that we do, I view my role as one of the officers and one of the co-chairs as kind of being the coach, right? And where is everybody at? But really, they're the ones that are doing the work, and they're the ones who are coming up with the ideas and the thought process. And I'll borrow a phrase from you. We bubbled it up, right? It's not even just that the great ideas come from the team members and the entry level managers, but it's for them to have that voice again and to affect change. That's really where so many of the initiatives have really come from. Again, we're as a co-chair, we maybe had some thoughts and ideas, and my role is really to just bring it together, right? To put together the guide and the playbook, if you will. It's really the council members that have really driven the initiatives, and that I'm really truly proud of. And also, I take it personal to reach out to those individuals that I know want to be on the council, but they don't really know until you bring it to their attention and you say, okay, this is what you can do. Nothing to me has been more rewarding than hearing from a council member. They say, I decided to join the council because I saw your newsletter. I saw there was a story about an Asian American and what you were doing with Heritage Month, and how the council was committed to diverse dishes. And I said, I'm of Latin descent, and I can really make a difference, and I can show my team members that there's a chef who's successful and that they can follow in those footsteps. So for me, nothing is more heartening than hearing that somebody wants to join the committee and the council because they saw that there was an effective change and that they can be a part of something larger.
That's incredible. So it's not only about leaving the door open behind you,
right.
It's really about pulling people through as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
Incredible. You talk a little bit about the newsletter, which was probably the inaugural reach out to all of the team members,
right.
Salaried and hourly, throughout our organization. What are some of the initiatives that you have taken to educate as well as elevate our associates?
Oh, good question. Thank you. So I think, a couple of things that we're either working on or we've done in the past is putting together a, not just the newsletter, which is out every quarter, but, ongoing communications, whether it's just every 2 weeks we're putting out a quick tidbit on, here's a recipe challenge, or something we're really proud of is we have an ongoing employee spotlight, where it doesn't have to be a particular month, right? It doesn't have to be Pride Month. It doesn't have to be Black History Month. We'll highlight an hourly team member or an exempt manager at any point during the year, whether it's on social media or through our intranet, through our platform, and really pulling the attention to that hourly team member. And we've also started something, not sure if we're going to talk about it later, but a culinary challenge, the corporate culinary, or I should say, the Unidine Diversity Culinary Challenge, which we've just launched. And that program really is an initiative to bring all of our team members across all sectors into submitting recipes that are personal to them, with their bio, their headshot, but also what does it mean to them, right? Whether it is Rosa's, Mexican dish from California, or one of our local Boston chefs that is submitting their own homegrown kind of recipe. And we've started this challenge and this culinary kind of competition, if you will. We launched it 2 weeks ago. It goes to the end of the summer. And then sometime in September, we're going to have a finale here at the Unidine corporate headquarters, where we'll have some announced winners with some really great prizes. And really, the goal isn't just to have that end finalist, but to really get team members excited, to where they feel, oh, you know what, I do this recipe all the time, right? But it's not recognized, and this will give them a platform to say that, wow, this matters. And something larger that we're working on, but it's kind of a secret, is we're working on a cookbook that will also take into all that we're doing over these last 6 months, and we're calling it the Diversity Cookbook. That will include bios and recipes. That's kind of longer term. And some of the other initiatives that we quite honestly do are, looking at suppliers, right? Looking at diverse, minority-owned or women-owned suppliers that we can add on to our portfolio of partners. Because I think that is something critical that not just our clients are looking for, but I think, just leveraging that as an organization moving forward.
That's excellent. I just igniting the passion of our hourly team members.
Absolutely.
Through their food, through their heritage.
Yes.
It's perfect timing. Last month we had our Chief Culinary Officer as a guest in the Fresh Thinking Lounge, and Randy really talked about the fact that at Unidine, while we have a recipe database, we don't operate from a standardized menu system where every unit is doing the same thing this week, 7 days a week. So for our team members to be able to bring the foods that they cook at home or what they grew up on that really represent them at the core, and to be able to say, as you said, leverage that talent and shine that spotlight, that's just got to have such a tremendous ripple effect on hospitality.
Oh, absolutely. And we're hearing it from the field already. For those locations that are really amped up about it and are talking about it and doing it, we're already seeing the results, right? We're seeing it from our customers, from our clients. I'm getting calls from those hourly team members, fielding questions, and hey, how do I submit the recipe? There's such excitement out there. I'm thrilled. In just 2 weeks, we've received over a dozen recipes from our core level hourly team members. So we're thrilled for it, and I think this is going to be one of the most awe-inspiring things we've done.
That's outstanding. I really can't wait for that cookbook. That's going to be outstanding. You talked about some critical priorities. You shared about supplier diversity, about women, minority, probably even veteran-owned businesses as well. What are some of the key measurements as an organization that will define success in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Great question, thank you. So really 2 of our main metrics, really to move 40% of our internal promotions from the hourly team members into the exempt managers for this year and beyond. And I think that's not just an achievable, but it really goes to our core values. So 40% of internal promotions from hourly team members. And I will say, a good majority of our hourly team members do represent a lot of times the minority diverse backgrounds. So that's something that's really critically important to us. And we're putting together a lot of those training programs and succession planning. And then secondly, 20% of for new hires to come from diverse backgrounds. So those are really our 2 kind of driving metrics. And then I think third is, which is a little bit less tangible, but from our employee surveys that we do, our team member surveys, participation in those surveys, and actually having our team members kind of move the needle that they feel as though they have that voice. If there's one thing that maybe we looked at from last year's results, was that maybe we needed to do a better job in communicating that there is a newsletter, that there is a council, that they can be a part of it, and that there's activity going on. So we've already started to see that shift, but certainly that's one of the other metrics that we'd be working on.
You talked a little bit about how our team really reflects a diverse face across the industry. How has the focus on diversity changed over the last year as a result of all of the civil unrest across our country?
That's a great question. I think what the biggest change that I've seen is that it is now, and I'll harken back to this kind of phrase, courageous conversations. And I talk a lot about this in the Compass Zone meetings that I'm really thrilled to be a part of. And next week is our last zone meeting for anyone out there. And we really talk about, to me, the biggest change has been, as leaders, having those conversations and having those courageous conversations and opening the dialogue with our team members of what's important to them, right? Even, and you don't have to be perfect in the conversation. It's okay to falter, to fumble, but to just ask for forgiveness and say, okay, I really just want to know, how are you feeling? What is going on? How are you feeling this week? With everything that is going on, you know, I look at it as, you know, we always look at ourselves as a food and people business and service. But if we can really affect change in the food service industry, not just Unidine, but the broader food service, and be the leader on, you know, not just hiring and promoting a diverse workforce, but really reaching out and making sure that those individuals, that I'll go back to, you know, for them feeling like they fit in, and that they have a voice. And not just over the last year, I think where the food service industry is today, compared to even when I just first started in the industry. And if you don't mind, I'll tell a very quick personal anecdote.
Please.
You know, I remember working in the hotel industry in Puerto Rico, and everybody said, well, actually, even before that, it started in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I lived there for 6 months. Everybody said, be careful, as, you know, a part of the LGBTQ plus community, as an openly gay man. You're going to find a lot of prejudice and a lot of, you know, discrimination. Well, I went down there, and it's a different walk of life, a different culture. Couldn't be more embracing. And, you know, you know, as much of an impact as maybe I tried to have on individuals there, they had more of an impact on me. Right? Now listen, I grew up in the Northeast in New York and thought I was culturally diverse and exposed. Not as much as I thought, right? And then it brought me to working in Puerto Rico, again, with a population that was fully embracing. And I was told differently, right? But it proved to me that as long as you are who you are and you're true to your word and you're a good person, you'll be fine. But I found that back then, that was 20 plus years ago, I remember, you know, I was sitting in a chair wanting to get promoted into a food and beverage role. And the manager at the time said, well, you know, you've got to just change a little bit. I asked him, well, what do you mean change a little bit? And he said, well, you know, you got to dress a little bit differently. Maybe go to the gym, maybe bulk up a little bit, maybe look a little bit more macho or manly. And I knew what that was. You know, I was still a kid, but I wasn't that, you know, much of a kid. But nowadays, that type of conversation, it wouldn't even be in anyone's lexicon, right? So I think the conversation now has changed where, you know, not only is that not acceptable, but everybody is starting to take their power back and become empowered and know that they have a voice and they have a seat at the table and they can be who they are. And, you know, no one should have to feel as though they have to change who they are, because that's their beautiful, authentic self. So.
I love that, and I love courageous conversations,
Yes.
being your individual identity. Such great words that aren't buzzwords; they're
No.
heartfelt reality.
They really are, and I think the more that we can get this bled down to the front lines, to where we are not afraid to have those conversations, because you will be surprised at how many of your team members might feel like they're a little bit left out until you have that conversation with them. And then you'll find out probably more information they ever thought you would want to know, right? But it will make for just a more welcoming, you know, operation, say for that one location. And you'll find that your team members are just that much more thrilled to come to work, even more so than they were the day before, because they feel, okay, yeah, I really do have a place here. So.
What a halo effect that you
Yes.
talked when we just sat down at the beginning about creating that access for the people who don't feel like they belong, don't feel that they have a voice or have been marginalized, and you've really amplified to create those inroads, but to make them lasting so that it fuels the culture.
Right.
Not just at Unidine, but within every operation that we serve across the country.
Right. No,
Excellent.
That's critical.
So you went somewhere that I was not going to go,
Okay.
and you shared with our audience about your true,
Right.
authentic self. And I have to ask, even though I know the answer, our audience does not.
Right.
Why was it so personally and professionally important for you to step up and step forward and I don't even want to say volunteer because I think I don't think I know you were the natural ask to lead this group. So why now? Why you? Why yes?
All great questions. So, and I'm thrilled that Richard and Janet and yourself and everyone else on the executive team thought of me. And why it was important to me, honestly, kind of harkens back to what I was talking about before. Growing up in this industry, I didn't have that role model, right? Back then, television was, and the media, all portrayed, right? And listen, I'm just one sliver. I know I am a older, white, gay man, so I fit one of the pieces of the diverse puzzle, right? But there are people out there that have it so much more difficult in their lives and have had much harder experiences. So if I can lend a voice to others and be, I don't want to say role model because I think that that's not the right way I view it, but if I can show one trans or lesbian or bi or gay or marginalized person there, right, that, listen, they can aspire to something greater and something better. And then that flows through for every part of the diverse community, whether you are Asian American, African American, Latino, veteran, disabled, any one of our diverse populations. If you can see that there's, and I won't put them on the spot, but there's a Richard Chang or an Eddie Koo, who are Asian American chefs in corporate culinary, and they could become a role model for, that next chef, right? Eddie Koo tells a story, and he'll be embarrassed that I'm saying this, but, he was inspired by watching the Food Network and seeing, one of his role models, move up. And so that's why he got into the food service business. So to me, it's personal because I didn't have that growing up. You looked around and who was there, right? So I think that's really the reason. I know I'm rambling, but...
Oh no, I think it's excellent for our audience to feel your passion in leading this important charge, not just for our organization, but you alluded before about Compass and representing diversity and inclusion moments in zone meetings. But I understand later this month you're also participating in your first virtual diversity event.
Yes, so thank you. Myself and Carrie here at the USC, who's also one of our other co-chairs, who does a tremendous job, and I'm sorry, I should have recognized Carrie at the very beginning. We're both really thrilled to be a part of the virtual trade show, which is up on 10th of June, so just next week. And it's an opportunity for us to learn what our other Compass sectors are doing, and for the other Compass sectors to learn what we're doing from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective. Whether it's our yet to be rolled out diversity toolkit, much more to come there, to our culinary challenge, to our newsletters, to some of our metrics for promotions. So we're thrilled with that. And I think it's really timely that it's happening during Pride Month with a lot of activities that are going on. So we're really thrilled and excited for that.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. And I love, it's not a motto, but you literally coined our diversity initiative as the thread that unites us and about bringing everybody together. And that's really the Unidine way.
It is, certainly, yeah. And I think, harkening back to our culture, I mean, we've already had such a strong culture with the Unidine way and our core values and our mission, vision, and values, that this is really just it's an extension of deepening our culture to that next level. So for us, it's really, we've had such a great baseline and really such a great culture built over many years and rich, extraordinary leadership, that for us, it's really just taking it and now working on some of the details.
Well, excellent. Thank you, Gerard, for stepping into the Fresh Thinking Lounge today, where diversity, equity, and inclusion are not just a box checker, it's a core competency, it's a passion, and it's part of our culture at Unidine. Thank you, not just today, but for all the great work that you've done and that you will do leading this council.
Thank you, Victoria.